So now that we are done with the configuration part of the failover cluster, we need to start looking into configuring a virtual machine on and this virtual machine later is going to become highly available, or at least this is what I expect. Of course, I hope that there won't be any issues, but if there are, I'm going to resolve them in the video so we can see how we can prevent any problems. So I'm going to copy my NOB Nano 01, which is a Nano server with the IIS row installed on the server, and we are going to see if and when this virtual machine is highly available, if the website is going to be working as expected. So I'm going to open my first node by IP address, which is 3, and open the C. Let me see. Okay, and in there I can copy over or it's better for me to copy the disk directly on my shared storage, which is dedicated for my VM, which is E partition at the moment. So I'm going to open the E instead, okay, and copy the Nano server virtual disk in there. Let's make things look better. NOB Nano 01 and virtual hard disks, okay, and paste it right here. So I'm going to wait for the disk to, and note that you need to configure the virtual machine on one of the nodes in your failover cluster. There is no prerequisites on which node you want to configure this, so you choose one of the nodes and just configure the virtual machines in there. So after I have the virtual hard disk, I'm going to open my Hyper-V manager and create a new virtual machine. And let me just bring that down. You can see that I'm on node 01. I'm going to create a virtual machine in here, and it's going to be called NOB Nano 01. I can choose to store the virtual machine configuration in a different location. I'm going to select the partition E for now. So it's going to be generation 2 virtual machine, and I'm going to assign 2 gigabytes of RAM to this virtual machine, and it's going to be connected to my Nano server network, so we can have network connectivity. In the next step, I'm going to select the disk that we've just copied. Okay, virtual hard disks, Nano. Okay, next. And I'm going to click finish to create the actual virtual machine. Now that we have the virtual machine, I'm going to connect to it and power it on, so we can see that it's able to boot and load normally. Okay. And there you have it. It's the Nano server recovery screen that we are used to see. So the next thing I want to, it's going to load some additional settings, so I'm going to wait for it to finish. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to log into the Nano server with my administrator account just to verify the network settings, because in my last video for some reason the interface enabled the DHCP. I'm really thankful to I'm really sorry if I'm not able to pronounce the name correctly, but I'm really thankful to Mikhail Finein. Of course, if he's watching the video, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he mentioned that the network card of the Nano server was not the correct Ethernet card, and next I noticed that the DHCP was enabled when I disabled and add a static IP address. Nevertheless, what I can do is I'm going to disable the DHCP and add an IP address to this Nano server, which is going to be 10.0.0.240. And again, this is an IP address that I select on randomly, and I need to be sure that this IP address is not being used at the moment for anything else. So my gateway is going to be 254, and press enter to save. Okay, operation succeeded. Escape to continue. So now we have a static IP address assigned to the server, and the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go to my file and printer sharing firewall rules, and I'm going to allow ICMP version 4, so we can have, it's currently allowed, but I need to be sure that I have ping enabled to this IP address. Let me see if I have any response. 140. No, it's not working, so let me just see if I go to core networking and then let me find the ICMP version 4. Let me just see. Okay, so I did not notice that actually the rule is disabled. So enabled, no. The action is allow, which is okay, but it's disabled. So as a test, I'm going to set a continuous ping request, and I'm going to use F4 to enable and press OK. And you can see that the request just started. So if you want to enable ICMP or ping to your Nano server, the only thing you need to do is go to the inbound settings of the firewall rules and enable the echo request version 4. So my Nano server is pretty much configured at this point of time, and the next thing that I want to do is make this virtual machine highly available. So I will switch to my failover cluster and continue from there. Okay, so in order for me to add the virtual machine as highly available, I need to go to the roles of my failover cluster and configure a role. And this time you can see that we have a lot of different options, but this time I'm going to select a virtual machine role and click next. You can see that I have the NOB Nano 01, which is currently running on node 01, and this is the virtual machine that is being offered as highly available to configure for high availability. So I'm going to click next, and you can see that the configuration is pretty straightforward. There are no additional configurations. You can see you have a report in here, but it was successful. So if I click on here, it's going to bring some additional information for the virtual machine, and pretty much the control for the virtual machine can be achieved from the Failover Cluster Manager console. So if I right click on the machine, you can see that I have connect, start, save, shutdown, and a lot of options. I can even enable replication to this virtual machine. Of course, you can have the enterprise solution for making virtual machines highly available. Again, underlying using Failover Cluster is virtual System Center Virtual Machine Manager. So if you have a System Center Virtual Machine Manager in your environment, please leave a comment below and tell me how many, for example, if that's not a secret, how many hosts do you have, how many virtual machines, so we can see how much the scale of this can expand. So now that we have our NOB Nano server running on my node 01 and it's configured as failover cluster, let's do some tests and let's see how and if indeed my virtual machine is highly available. So one of the first and easiest tests that we can do to this highly available virtual machine is to perform live migration. And this is a really cool feature, which means that the virtual machine will be migrated while running and it will be switched from node 1 to node 2 without being restarted or without anything being disrupted, which is really nice feature to have. So for me to test this and confirm this, I'm going to switch to my second node. You can see that on my NLB node 02, I don't have any virtual machines running at the moment. One other thing that I want to do is I'm going to open a CMD window again, and I'm going to ping 10.0.0.140, continuous ping. So what we'll notice is while the live migration is running, there will be no disruption on the work and the production of the virtual machine. There will be only one package lost while the actual switchover from node 1 to node 2. So in order for me to confirm this, I'm going to open my Failover Cluster Manager. I can do this from my node 01 as well, but just in case, I'm going to open the Failover Cluster Manager because I don't want to switch around windows so you can see better. Okay, wait for the cluster to load, open the role section, and we will see our Nano server currently owned by node 01. And of course there are some additional configurations that you can do. If you open the properties, you can configure preferred owners. You can select both nodes or you can select only one node to be preferred for the virtual machine. You can configure the failover settings and failback settings, but if you are doing this in production, the failback settings are not really a good option because there will be some downtime while moving the virtual machine, failback the virtual machine around. I'm not really sure if the failback settings will include live migration if the virtual machine is working. If they include, it will be painless. So if you have experience with failback on highly available virtual machines, you can leave a comment below just describing if this indeed is the case. So I'm going to just select the preferred owners to be my 2 nodes, so in this case there won't be any difference to the configuration. So I'm going to select, right click on the virtual machine, select move and then live migration. Please note that quick migration will do a save on the virtual machine, so there will be downtime. Using live migration, it's going to be without any downtime. So you have 2 options: select the best possible node or select node. I'm going to choose node 2 and click OK. So if we scroll under information, there should appear information about the migration, and you can see that the status is live migrating at the moment, 52-53%. The virtual machine is still not here. You can see that there are some issues with the ping at the moment because it's currently copying over, but I assume this is because I'm doing this on my lab environment and I don't have the resources needed for live migration to be done without any huge spikes in ping. So you can see that the request timeout happened for only one package, and now my Nano server 01 is running on my node 02. And if I click connect to the virtual machine, I will see that the virtual machine is still running. So if I do another thing, I'm just waiting for the console to connect to it. If I do another thing, for example, if I move my server while being logged in, we can confirm that there are no restarts happening on the virtual machine. So I'm going to log in, but this time I'm going to use my domain account for this purpose. And it'll be lab, because this server is actually part of my domain. So let's see if this will, yep, everything seems fine. I'm currently logged in with Nick, so I'm going to enter the inbound firewall rules, and I'm going to leave the cursor on the echo request ICMP version 4. So the next thing I want to do is, again, I'm going to live migrate the virtual machine to node 1, click OK and switch to node 1. And you can see in here, if I open my Hyper-V manager, the virtual machine is live migrating at this moment, and it will appear any minute under my Hyper-V manager on my node 01. So I'm just waiting for the live migration to complete. And after that, if I connect to the virtual machine and we can confirm that the live migration is doing everything live, if I connect to my NLB Nano 01 using the console, it should show me the inbound firewall rules and the selected printer sharing echo request. So you can see that the live migration is not restarting the virtual machine and it's highly available. So as the for some reason the my connection to my virtual machine disappeared. Not sure why, but let me try to reconnect to it. The virtual machine is running though. Okay, it's just I guess a bug in the Hyper-V console. So the next thing I want to do is I want to test and confirm that the virtual machine will automatically switch to my other node if anything happens to my first one. In this case, the NLB node 01. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, let me just close this window, go to node 02, and I'm going to power off my first node. So we can see this time, if I'm correct, the virtual machine will be, there will be downtime for the virtual machine. But this downtime will be only during the time that the second node in the cluster noticed that the first node is not available, so it will bring the virtual machine to the second node. And what I mean by this is I'm going to power off my node 1 directly. Okay, it's powered off now. So you can see there is downtime for the virtual machine. And this virtual machine, hopefully, if my failover configuration was correct, it will be powered on the second node as a highly available measure. So you can see it did failover, and the virtual machine will lose some packages and there will be some downtime. But as an administrator, you don't need to be on site and manually move the machine, manually add it to the second node and start it. It will do this automatically for you. So you can see there is some downtime around a minute, but after that the virtual machine is running on the second node. And if I go to my failover cluster and go to nodes, you can see that my node 01 is currently down. So the next thing, I'm going to just power on my node 1. And the next thing I want to do is I want to go to my Hyper-V settings, or more likely the settings of the virtual machine, and settings. Okay. And I'm going to the network adapter settings and advanced features. And you can see right here that I have a tick box on the protected network. And this, I think, is a new feature in Windows Server 2016, where it's going to move the virtual machine to another cluster node if a network disconnection is detected. If you are more familiar with this, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, but I'm going to test this as well. So I'm going to wait for my node 01 to be reconnected once again. Now that my first node is up and running once again, it had to be restarted once again because of the Windows license expired thing. So if you are doing this in production, you might want to activate your Windows, but in this case I'm doing this in a lab, so few restarts here and there are not that of a pain for me. So as we were talking, I'm going to disable the network card on my node 02 and monitor if the Nano server will be migrated to, fail over to my node 01. So I'm going to open the control panel, go to Network and Sharing Center, and you can see right here is the vEthernet network card that my Nano server is currently connected to. So I'm going to click disable on this one, and I'm going to switch to my Nano 01, to my node 01 server, where if I open the Hyper-V manager, this virtual machine should be transferred to node 01, and you can see that again the virtual machine is running, but I think it most probably restarted because basically my first node is not reachable, completely not reachable at the moment. So let's see if indeed the virtual machine restarted by itself. So it's connecting, it's taking some time, but yeah, I think it should restart in general. So yeah, you can see that the failover of or creating a virtual machine as a failover virtual machine is really a nice thing to have. The last thing I will want to do is I'm going to re-enable the network card on my Nano 2 server, on my, Nano 2, Node 2 server, and I'm going to once again power off one of the servers, but just verify that the application running on the Nano server is, and how much downtime for the end user will a failover have. So to test this from a client perspective, I'm going to switch over to my storage server, and I'm going to open an Internet Explorer. And in this Internet Explorer, I'm going to open the website that is currently running on my Nano server. And you can see I did some special modifications, yes, on my Internet Information Services. And so we can confirm that this is indeed the Nano server that is running. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to power off my node 01, where my Nano server is currently running, and I'm going to wait for the failover to happen, and just to confirm how much downtime will that make for the end users. So there it goes. In the meantime, I'm going to just refresh the web page. So let me power off, and now you can see that the Nano server is not available anymore. And if I try to open the web page once again, it's going to be pretty much cached, but if you try to refresh it several times, it's not working at the moment, so it's not reachable. Let me open another web page, another tab, and there you go. The page cannot be displayed, was shown, but if you refresh once again, the Nano server is up and running, and it's up and running on my second node, which if we check here, we will confirm. So the end users will most probably not experience that huge of a downtime. They can even confuse this with, for example, a network outage, small network outage. So this confirms that the virtual machine is highly available. The application running on the virtual machine is highly available as well. And yeah, pretty much summarizes the video of how you can configure a virtual machine to be highly available with failover clustering in Windows Server 2016. If you have any comments, I know that this is, let's say, a thing that most advanced users are using in day-to-day, but in small companies, administrators are really struggling to configure failover cluster and are really scared of it. So if you have any comments, any recommendations, anything that I've missed, you can always put them in the comment section below, and as you know, I will try to answer your questions or answer the queries that you have as soon as possible. If you like the video, you can always share and like it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for NLB Solutions, so you'll be the first to receive a notification when I release a new video. This was Nick from NLB Solutions. Once again, thank you very much for viewing and see you soon.